You guys let me know when you're ready.
I don't know.
Wendy, do we have somebody for the? You can pick anyone in the audience. Okay. We're good? I'd like to welcome everyone out to the Thursday, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo Planning Commission meeting. And we'll start off with we do have a full quorum, and we'll start off with item 2.1, which is the Pledge of Allegiance, and Wendy is going to lead us in that.
That's right, me.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Wendy. We'll see, are there any conflicts of interest with any of the items on the agenda today with the Planning Commission?
Nope.
All right, seeing none, we'll go on to the administrative items. First item being 3.1, which is a request approval of a special exemption regarding building height and setback requirements for accessory structure.
Well, good evening. This is a request that's been kind of a long time in the works from the applicant's name is Zach Bevan. This is our second special exception for an accessory structure. Maybe it'll be the first that gets approved. We'll see. Clicker is not working. Still not. Or it's going to go to the last slide all at one time or something.
Battery's dead.
Yeah. Oh,
Goes.
okay, there we go. All right, so this is kind of the 30,000 view of where the property is located. It's on the end of Sedona Court, highlighted in yellow there. You can see how the applicant's home is situated. Looking at the drawings for the Sedona Court, well, for the subdivision here, originally this was designed as a cul-de-sac, and it came in as a hammerhead. So, which, met all the code requirements and stuff, but just kind of keep that in mind as we go through the discussion in terms of how this could have developed as if this were a cul-de-sac, how the location of the proposed garage would come into play. I'm stuck again. So I'll just keep plugging forward until, okay, there we go. All right, so again, this is a subdivision. It's in the 8.25 zone. It's on just over 1/3 of an acre. The proposed building is about 1,250 square feet, 18 feet 10 inches at this tallest point, and notices were mailed. I did not receive any comments from any of the people that the notices were mailed to. In terms of exceptions, what we're looking for today is flexibility in determining the rear, side, and front yards of a property in regards to where the accessory building is being placed. So again, this is the overview of the property. You can see highlighted in pink where the accessory structure is going to be. There is a 6-foot setback provided on both of those, both the sides of the lot there. And the height is 18 feet 10 inches. The finishing material is similar to the home. It'll be stucco and a stone wainscot all the way around with asphalt shingles that match the home as well. Again, 1,250 is what the maximum size was based on the rear yard area. They're doing just under that, 1,247. They do have a 6-foot setback from property line, which satisfies the ordinance. However, there is a 10-foot public utility easement on the one side, so they'll either have to get a letter from the utility companies permitting them to encroach into that, or they'll have to move the building back. Went over the architecture of the building. So in terms of determining the yards, the location of the building, of the proposed accessory structure anyways, maintains the block face of the neighborhood. It doesn't disrupt what would typically be there. If this home was, if you take the lot and turn the home so it's oriented the same direction as the one just below it, having that accessory structure located where it's going to be would be typical, right? That would make sense of where that structure would normally take place. Or if this was developed as a cul-de-sac, that the portion of the property that the applicant's desiring to use for the accessory structure would be considered the backyard. As it is now, it's more considered the front yard, but that's what the exception is for. In terms of the health, safety, and welfare, again, we went over that, and I talked about the 10-foot public utility easement, and that exists on the southern property line, if I'm not mistaken. In terms of our recommendation, we do recommend approval as it's been proposed, with the condition that that waiver the waiver from the public utility easement companies is obtained, or that the building is moved. Any questions for me on that one?
Any question for staff? All right, no questions. Is the applicant present? Not here. Okay. All right, then we'll look for further conversation on this item with the Planning Commission. I know, at least from my perspective, the big thing I looked at, was it in the backyard of the neighbor home, technically, with how its layout is. And in this case, I feel like it is. It is a very unique layout with the roads and stuff. And so, at least in this case, I think in the exception I would recommend it because of the different layout. And so I think it is a unique enough situation that it's not something we typically see. So,
I agree. If you continue the plane of the houses, the front yard of the houses towards the other one, it's well behind that.
yeah, I think if it was in the front, towards the front of any neighboring houses, I think I'd have a different opinion.
And it meets all other setbacks and height requirements, so I don't have any other concern either. So.
And then just agree with staff recommendations here. So if there's nothing else, I'll look for a motion from this body.
I'll make a motion to approve item 3.1 with staff's 2 recommendations.
I'll second.
Motion by Heather, second by Jackson. We'll call for a vote. Brody?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Forrest?
Yes.
Heather?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
Andrea?
Yes.
Thank you. We'll move on to item 4.1, which is a legislative item. And this is on for a public hearing as well. So I'll just read public comment and policy procedure. The purpose of public comment is to allow citizens to address items on the agenda. Citizens requesting to address the commission will be asked to complete a written comment form and present it to Wendy Thorpe, Deputy Recorder. In general, the chair will allow an individual 3 minutes to address the commission. A spokesperson recognized as representing a group in attendance may be allowed up to 5 minutes. And then public hearing comments can be submitted by emailing the recorder as well. So staff, we'll turn it over to staff to talk about 4.1 with the recommendation to amend chapters 10-23, which applicants also Herman City.
Right, so yes, this is a text amendment that was kind of initiated by the city council and other concerned citizens and development partners with the city. Just a little bit of background. Currently, we have a landscaping standard. In the past couple of years, we've made a lot of changes to be more water efficient, including limiting the amount of grass and et cetera. One of these standards is that perimeter and internal landscaping shall have 75% live vegetation. And as I mentioned, this is some development partners and city council has reached out saying this is, it can be a bit much and it can be a bit tough to accomplish, especially in our type of climate and weather. Just for reference, the Jordan Valley Water Conservancy District recommends about 50% live vegetation. And yeah. So it's kind of a simple change just to be more consistent with what Jordan Valley has and to be a little bit more water efficient, and help out our development partners and citizens as well. It can be kind of a tough accomplishment. It's just to change that 75% to 50%.
Any questions for staff?
Nope.
All right, thank you. And this is on for a public hearing. So we'll open the public hearing at this time. All right, we'll close the public hearing at this time and then look for additional comments by the Planning Commission or a motion to be made.
I just feel like this is appropriate for where we live and what's going on with water consumption.
Thank you, Brody. Look for a motion.
I'll go ahead and make a motion. Make a motion on item 4.1 to recommend approval, or I guess the reduction of the minimum landscaping requirement from 75% to 50%. Make that motion for approval for the City Council.
Second.
A motion made by Andy, second by Forrest, and we'll call for a vote. Andrea?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
Heather?
Yes.
Forrest?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
And Brody?
Yes.
Thank you so much. We'll move on to item 4.2, which is recommendation to amend the Mountain View Office and Self-Storage Master Development Agreement. And Clint?
Okay, so this is a fairly simple request as well from the DAI group. This is for the Mountain View Office and Self-Storage, MDA. Here it's showing the location just off 118th South. And this is a little bit, so you'll see the property lines that are currently outlined in yellow, those have changed over since the MDA was adopted to now. There's been some property swapping that's taken place with UDOT and the applicant. And so that's the primary reason for this. And then they also have another request as well in terms of architecture that we'll get to. So you can see the existing land use plan on the left, the proposed on the right. Again, most of the change takes place in that commercial pie-shaped piece on the north side, just with the property swapping that's taken place. So this is an elevation of the building that they're proposing for the, so if I go back to this, that commercial area, they're proposing to do and the requirement is to do an office building there before they can move forward with the storage units to the south. The current city standard for a building in a commercial zone is 60% brick or stone. And it currently does not allow metal panel finishes. So what the applicant is proposing is to allow a metal panel as part of the MDA, which can be specific to this area, and then modifying the percentage of brick and stone. In recent conversations that we've had as a staff with the City Council and Planning Commission, adding an additional material I don't think is an issue. I think we're looking at more in terms of whether this should fall under the category of durability. Is the metal that they're requesting, does it fall under that same durability as brick and stone? And so that's kind of the question before the commission tonight in regards to this application, along with the minor property modifications that have been made. Our options for action are, so the one that we would recommend, again, is just answering the question of whether or not should metal be a permitted use for a commercial building, and if so, does metal, or should the metal count towards the durability standard of 60% that is currently in place with the brick and stone? So that being said, I'll answer questions if there are any, or just let the commission burst through those topics. And I think the applicant is here as well. I'm sure they would love to speak on this.
Thank you. Any questions for Clint? All right, then we'll let the applicant come up if they want to share additional information. And if you don't mind just stating your name.
Of course. My name is Nate Ship. I'm
a partner at DAI, and I represent this project as the applicant tonight. I appreciate your time and the time of your staff. I'm happy to answer any specific questions you might have about the application.
Anything else you want to share before that? We may have one or two questions.
Yeah. Well, so staff has brought up our two requests. The first is really related to helping the site become more efficient and the land swapping that we've done with UDOT, helping them with the drainage situation that they have. It's pretty straightforward. As far as our request for the material, we have a commitment to the city contractually that we will develop the north area, or at least start developing the north area before we do anything with the south piece of the property. And as we've gone out and done some mock-ups with our architect, and we've met with your staff, we've come with the pictures that were shown earlier. Those don't meet your current code. We're obviously looking to use some more modern material and go with a more modern flair on the buildings. We think it's a great look. We like it, but we understand that that might be subjective, and you do have a code, and if your feeling is that we should stay with your code and redo our mock-ups and go that way, we would do that as well.
All right. Questions for the applicant?
Just our conversation earlier just had to do with durability, what type of metal you're looking to use. That's really.
And I think the big question is typically when we allow a change from the standard of what's established, it's because it's a equal or better quality than what is currently in place. So we've had that happen a couple times in the past where we've allowed, or at least we've recommended to City Council that they do allow it. And so I think that is a question of really maybe you can share the quality of what you're putting on the building with this metal and maybe help us to understand better what it is.
Sure. So the answer to that would be we would want the standard or the request to include language that says that it shall be equally durable, the lifespan shall be longer than or equal to the brick or the stone that's otherwise required. There's lots of levels of metal.
Yeah, that's what we're worried about a little
That
bit.
was our concern.
Our intent with this
That
is
is our
not to
concern.
wrap the building in tinfoil.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably one extreme that we're not interested in. It's to do it so that it lasts. This is a building we intend on owning for the long term, so make it look nice, but also have it be something that's going to last for a number of decades.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't tell you the exact spec. We haven't gotten that far in
Yeah, that's
the drawings.
That was just our conversations about metal, because I think
Totally makes
yeah.
sense.
Yeah, that's our fear, I guess, for no better words. As
This
long
would be
as
a
it's
solid metal. It's not a sheathing. It's not something that you would just apply to, it would be something that would be a part of the construction of the building, so.
okay. Any other questions?
just, I don't know, Forrest, when you've dealt with it, is how is it attached typically?
Too many ways.
There's lots of different ways that
Yeah.
they can attach it. I mean, simple ways of screwing it on or using brackets. This looks like it's more like a bracket kind of installation. And I think that in your in your list of materials, you said that it was going to be zinc, which is one of the better materials, is more durable metals out there.
Yeah, it was the last one.
Yeah.
So that right there, metal
Now
panels.
we can kind of see
materials,
the
zinc,
mock-up.
Yeah, for the
or bronze.
yeah. So you've got a zinc. Even your fake wood metal panels. I would try and steer you away from that, just because I think a material should look like a material and not pretend to be another material. But
I'm not opposed to that.
And then you do have one section that's stucco, it appears, right?
Yes.
yeah, the lighter color looks like it's stucco.
Yeah. So, any other questions for the applicant before we have further discussion? And we actually have this is open for a public hearing as well. We'll let you have a seat.
Thank you.
Just a quick one. Sorry, one quick
One more question.
one quick question. I assume the metal panels are concealed fastener.
Sorry, say that
Are
again?
they concealed fastener or exposed fastener?
Well, that's a good question.
Can you see the screws?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
I'd have to defer to my architect and construction team.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. At this time, we'll open the public hearing. And we will close the public hearing and then turn to the planning commission for additional discussion.
Well, maybe I can start.
Yes,
I
please,
think one of the
Jackson.
interesting, part of what makes this whole discussion interesting is because they're using so much glass. There's so much glass. That's the whole reason it's even an issue. And I think having all that glass is great.
I do too. I agree with that.
I mean, it really opens it up as a commercial building.
I think that's sort of what we're missing that we may want to discuss later in our code with some of the stuff is a percentages of glass and how that may change stuff.
One of the other things they're doing
Flexibility.
well here is when you're down at what I call people level, or I've also heard it called gorilla level, they've got hard surfaces at that level. So when you can hit it, it's not at a location that can be dented. It's up high where it's not going to get that normal exposure.
Yeah, I guess there is stucco that goes to the ground in the one area, but that's it.
Right.
So there's not the metal.
And then when it comes to longevity, metal is a lot more durable than stucco is, but not as durable as, stone. But, looking at life cycle, of the material, metal's going to be significantly more than a stucco.
Yeah. And I do go back to sort of what Jackson said, because if we do recommend this to the city council, I think, to be perfectly honest, a lot of why I would if I did is the amount of windows that are actually on this building, because if more of it was, I guess, the materials and there were less windows, it would be more prevalent and you would notice that there was more metal on it and things like that. With how it's set up right now, you really don't notice it as much, because almost the entire first floor is all stone still, except for on the right side. So you have over half of it that's stone, but you have the big windows. And so, do we have pictures of any of the sides? Because I do know one side of this building will be either facing Mountain View or 114, with how it'll probably lay out.
They were in the packet, but I didn't include them in the PowerPoint.
Okay.
There was, in the packet, it gave a breakdown of materials on each side as well.
Okay. Maybe I could flip to that real quick. Because there's at least going to be two sides that face the major roads. One side will be residential behind it, and one side will be facing the rest of their property. So it won't be
So
as
this is the front. I'm curious, which way is this facing? This view?
Yeah.
Do we know?
Do we know if that's facing west or facing north? I assume it's going to be either north
This
or
one's
west.
facing north.
I would think it's north, but
And the applicant, if they want to come back up, just so everybody can hear, as this is being recorded.
So the facade that you're staring at in the picture there, I believe, is facing west.
west.
Oh,
Okay.
west, okay.
Yes.
Facing Mountain View then.
So Mountain View.
Yeah.
And then the other side, if you're looking at the Exhibit F that's in your packets, it shows the other three sides of the building. This building will be visible to those who are driving by. It will also be very visible to all of the other buildings that we're building. So we haven't dumbed down a side. We've tried to keep the same look and feel on all four sides. You'll see there's just as many windows and the same kind of look and feel all the way around the building. We're going to view it with all of our other developments all the way around the building, so we're trying to keep it looking nice.
Chair, could I ask a quick question of the applicant?
Yes.
So is your intention to finish each of your buildings in that commercial area with these same materials?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this is to set the tone, and we'll just carry it forward. Any other questions?
All right. Any other questions?
I think maybe the one thought on my part with metal panels, when you use them on buildings, generally if you use a concealed fastener, that's more used, concealed fasteners generally more retail and commercial applications. And exposed fastener are generally more industrial. Generally, it's not a hard and fast rule, but if we were to say concealed fastener required for metal panels, then it'll be a nice looking panel.
Did I just hear a motion?
Well, whatever recommendation we make to the city council, we probably need to share that and also I guess from a durability perspective, something closer to the brick or stone quality. So we do get a higher quality of metal. And then also, I think it probably would be wise to bring up then that part of why this recommendation is occurring is because the amount of glass that they're using on their building. If that's the direction you guys are going. If we go the other way, then that changes it. Any other discussion?
I was about to ask.
I like the
Forrest if-
product, so.
Yeah, good product.
Any other thoughts, Forrest?
No, like I said before, I think metal is a pretty durable material when it's done well. And as we said in our work meetings, there's a wide variety of quality, when it comes to any material, whether it be stone itself or metal or even stucco has a large variety of quality. So it really just depends on the details. Like you said, having the hidden fasteners or a bracket system, or having those panels hung instead of screwed to the side. That's going to give it a much cleaner look, a more modern look too than your typical.
Now, what was the percentage of brick or stone that we're seeing?
That was in the staff report as well. I think on each side, the brick requirement was between, I want to say 25 and 40%. So probably averaged around 35% on each side.
Breaks it down by window stone, metal. Elevation. Looks like the metal's about 50%. Stone's about hovering around 25%.
Depending on the side, huh?
Depending on the side. Yeah, and then the front, it's still around 50, 25, 27.
So stone's 26% there.
So you're about 75% metal or brick or stone? Or brick or stone?
Yeah.
Combined,
Yeah,
combined,
yeah.
75% total
You're
combined.
about 75%, yeah. If you
Versus the
include
60%.
metal into the
Yeah.
more durable. Yep.
So Forrest, your suggestion was the wooden-looking metal panels, just to have that be metal and not have the appearance of wood, right?
It's subjective. I actually like the wood look.
It is just an objective opinion.
Yeah.
I think that material should look like the material it is and not try and be fake.
'Cause
As an
metal
architect,
panels
yeah.
would.
You know.
There's a lot of tile that looks like wood.
You're right, there is.
And it looks good,
Or like
but-
hardy board,
Yeah.
where it's cementuous board, but then they put grains on it, and then they stopped doing that because everyone said it looked stupid. So,
What are your thoughts with the requirement of no less than 30% brick or stone? Maybe putting a number to it, or do you guys feel comfortable with the numbers that they have?
I feel comfortable with their numbers
Okay.
because architecturally it looks really good with the amount of windows they have and the materials.
I think that's just it. It looks good. If it didn't.
I
then
always
maybe
have a
would.
hard time with stucco, but that's just a
Yeah,
personal
well,
thing.
I was gonna say, if we want to get rid of the stucco too, but yeah, whatever, but that's up to them.
See what the percentage of glass is? I can't remember.
yeah, it does.
Yeah, it did say it on there.
Sorry, my tablet died.
And I don't have my glasses.
Ran out of battery.
Oh, it just got stuck.
I'm wondering if maybe we make in making the proposal, we could say that because they're over a certain amount of glass, they're allowed to have. So if we, just make mention of that percentage of glass, makes it so that they keep that with future buildings.
Gotcha.
As the precedent.
Right.
Right, so.
I don't know what that percentage is. It's got the square footage here, but not the
Yeah,
percentage.
he has a square footage, but not percentages, so
Well,
it's
total-
about twice
total
as much
without
as stone,
windows.
So it's about 50%.
50% of the entire,
They're probably actually really, well, no.
Right, the total area versus windows, right? Total without the windows. Oh.
'Cause it's,
Yeah.
the windows, it looks like, are almost a third of it.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
14, 22, and 28, so it's 33% is pretty much the windows.
Yep.
So if we kept it, so as
I
long
mean, you
as
go
the building
30,
has
33% and 27%, they're at 60%, right there. in the sense of
Windows and brick or stone.
between brick, stone, and windows.
So if we phrase it to say when they keep 30% glazing, they're able to reduce the stone requirement down to 25, is that on future buildings?
Well, this is just their MDA, so this is their MDA that will change. This is recommendation for
Right.
their MDA, but yeah.
I think,
then
yeah,
that- I would
think-
Jackson's
that would
trying to
apply to
get
the
to
future
why
buildings
why we're given the exception.
I was going to say for the future, well,
I am in agreement with Jackson with the increased amount of glass. I'm probably more prone to being okay with the exception. So if this was majority, we're just adding a bunch of metal and there's not,
Right. If there was no, if the windows were very, very limited, it'd be a wholly different feeling to that building. And so, the fact that the windows are metal frames and, the metal itself, so, yeah.
sounds like you guys may have an idea of a motion. Thoughts? Any more discussion?
Not too much, but I get what Jackson's saying, just so we're tying it to like why we're making it the exception.
I agree.
It gives it a hard number, which makes it easy for legal, right? Got a grin there.
so is 30% what we want to say, or 35, or?
No, it could say,
The fact
More
that-
than 30%.
More than 30, yeah, the fact
Yeah,
that there's
more than
more than
30%.
30% of the entire, right?
Yeah.
I think why we're-
Yeah, it's
Why we're making the recommendation.
Yeah.
a little bit less on some of the sides.
Overall,
Yeah.
Yeah.
overall.
If you can do 30% all the way around, which it looks like they can, then I think it makes perfect sense.
okay. Well, maybe I can try and craft a motion here.
And it's just a recommendation.
Yeah.
It's pretty much recommendation to approve or based off of the more than 30% windows, which we think can allow a decrease in the brick or stone on this building. And then also the durability of the metal being equivalent or better quality of what we expect.
And your cancel,
Yeah,
your
and
concealed
concealed
fastener.
fastener.
And concealed fastener, yeah.
Let me ask one last question, sorry. And this
No,
to Forrest again.
Don't apologize.
Should we go to the level of ACM panel? Do like an Aluka bond? But that kind of specifies a specific look. It's almost too perfect, in my opinion.
Well, if you're specifying equal or better, isn't that equal or better?
Well,
Well, that's a particular
It's
type.
yeah, it's a very specific,
Yeah, do we
it's
want
very
to be that
specific.
specific for them? or we-
ACM basically has a backing on it,
yeah.
and so it makes it, so it's a much more rigid metal. So by having the backing, it makes it so that it doesn't dent or oil can, but.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense to me.
But isn't
That
that,
is
wouldn't that be
specific
required
brand.
anyway to become
Equal
equal or better? Because we don't
Well-
want anything that's
well, I think
dented. If
with a
it's easily
recommendation-
dented, that's not going to be equal or better.
But you could say a recommendation of a quality similar to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we could probably make it
That's what I would
something
do,
like
so
that,
you're
which
not
gives them
similar
still
to-
some leeway,
Sticking
but
them to the
Yeah.
they know at least the standard to start with.
Yeah. I guess it's not gonna be a whole lot, because I know the longboard's a little more expensive than just regular metal panel, and ACM would probably be in about that price range as the longboard.
Yeah.
Chair, if I could, just one more question, or a recommendation anyways, on your recommendation. So as you're setting percentages, so if you're wanting 30% glass on each side and a reduction, and then allowing a reduction in the brick or stone, I would also recommend setting a recommendation of brick and stone to still be 25, 30%, a percent that we can measure, so it's not
Yep.
something that's objective,
Or
right?
more,
Well, we
yeah.
reduced it, we still have brick and stone on a couple of things, but it's 10% instead of the 30 or, whatever percentage we're looking at here.
Okay.
And I guess the one thing, and granted, it's not as big of a concern because this is tied to the MDA and not overall. And so I guess it's not as big a concern. I guess I'll ask you the question. So with this MDA, what other areas does this affect if we adjust the MDA?
It's just this, just the commercial portion of this MDA.
Just this
Just this
property,
corner,
though?
this
I
pipe.
mean, what other property is in the MDA that's commercial, that's undeveloped?
If you can go back to the land use map.
Because is it literally just that one corner is the MDA?
Yep.
Just this? Okay.
The whole
I'm
area
good
of the
with it.
MDA, and this would really only apply to
Yep.
that pink portion of it.
Yep, I'm totally good with this. I'm fine, as long as it's not affecting a bunch of other areas that we have to deal with. So,
So I'm not going to worry about saying ACM or anything. I think I'll just stick to the percentages.
Yeah.
Especially if it's equal or better material, right? That, from the brick and stone, for durability.
I do think that fastener may be something you want to at least
Yeah,
bring
like
up.
that.
so.
I'll put in the concealed fastener. Okay. All right, I'll make a motion to approve item, or a motion for recommendation for approval for item 4.2 for the land use change, as well as the architectural change to allow a reduction in brick and stone to 25% when there is more than 30% commercial glazing on the building.
Okay, did you want to bring the fasteners in there?
Oh, and the metal panels will include, will be durability equal to the stone with concealed fastener.
I'll second that.
Recommendation by Jackson and a second by Brody, and we'll call for a vote. Andrea?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
Heather?
Yes.
Forrest?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Brody?
Yes.
All right, thank you for your time, guys. And any additional,
I had a question.
yes, Andrea?
So in that same vein, do we want to look at the commercial standards, like revising those to allow metal in the
Well, in this
future?
case, it's at least tied to the MDA just for
Yeah.
that one little
But like in the
area.
future, just for commercial in
For
general?
future, I agree.
I do.
So, and maybe this is something, Clint, we can revisit in a work meeting where we talk about the standard right now with the brick and stone just overall as a city and what, I guess, if there are any differences we want to allow or change the standards, or
Yeah. I
maybe
think
it'd be
this
good
is-
to bring it up.
I think this is something that we want to bring in front of the commission fairly soon. As I mentioned, we have another application
Yep.
that we're looking at that has metal on their building. We have another potential building coming in, a restaurant that has a tile on the exterior that isn't permitted in a commercial zone currently.
Yeah.
So those are things, that we might want to look at and, make
Well,
some.
I do like how we made that motion, and the reason why is, for instance, if they bring a storage area, typically they do not have windows. So we would still require a 60% of brick or stone on it, which I think is what it should be.
I think
And so
having
I
a
do like
glazing-
how that was worded.
Having a glazing requirement, I think, is wise,
Yep.
for sure.
Well, and I think the motion today, those percentages, I think that's a great starting point for any text change.
Yeah.
All right, the 25% and the 30% that was mentioned.
Yeah. But I will say that in neighboring cities that I've noticed with commercial, it has very much so become a 60% maybe a low standard for
Yeah.
cities with new commercial coming in now. And so that may need to, and if you can, maybe just bring that up to the city council as you talk about this. Say there are neighboring cities that you're seeing 100% brick or stone now. And so it may be something that we need to just revisit all the way around and figure out what we want to do with that. So, any other comments? Thank you, Andrea. Okay, future meetings, May 11th, City Council meeting, May 19th, Planning Commission meeting, and May 25th, City Council meeting. I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Sweet.